I'm Nicola Tandy, National Sales Director at realestate.com.au, and I'm really excited to be joined today by Kirstin Hodgson, our Market Insights and Research Manager at REA, for our very first episode of our 2021 Developer Insights Series, Vlog Series. Thanks so much for joining us, Kirstin.
Hi, thank you so much for having me join you today. I'm really looking forward to unpacking the house and land buyer journey with you, particularly as it has been a very, very different year with COVID impacting the market quite a bit across Australia.
Indeed. And I know our viewers are really eager to hear what our research uncovered in terms of the impact of COVID on the buyer journey, particularly obviously today we're covering for house and land buyers. So shall we kick off with our first question? So in terms of our house and land buyers, what is their purchase trigger? Why are they actually entering this journey?
So we actually conducted this research at the end of 19, start of 2020. And what we're seeing is that reasons for buying house and land haven't really changed when we compare the two pieces of research. We're still seeing that owner-occupiers are primarily driven to buy property by cultural influences and social norms. So that's the Australian dream of owning a property. However, we are seeing that financial motivators and life moments are also continuing to play a strong role in that as well.
And when we actually go and look at buyer types or buyers by segment, what nuances are you seeing in terms of that buyer journey?
So when we actually cut the data this way, we're seeing that unsurprisingly, first-time buyers are more likely than other buyer types, so subsequent buyers and investors, to be driven by government incentives such as the first-time buyer scheme.
And you touched on investors there. I know obviously with overseas migration halted at the moment, our viewers are really eager to understand a little bit more about domestic investors in the house and land market. Can you elaborate?
Yes, we're not actually seeing a huge change there either, despite the changes that we're seeing in the market. So when we compare it to the previous research, investors in 2021 are attracted to property because they consider it a safe bet for a long-term investment and a good opportunity to grow their financial portfolio. We did, however, add a bit of new into the research this year by adding a new question that looked at how house and land investors were finding their investment opportunities. And we've had a brief chat about apartment buyers. If you've watched the other vlog, we found that they can be independent in doing this. So the research saw that 69% are finding opportunities themselves online. 42% are finding them through their personal networks, so through their friends, their family and their colleagues, and 26% are sourcing opportunities through professionals such as their accountant or financial planner.
Okay, good to know. Thanks so much, Kirstin, for that insight. So it's obviously been a strange 18 months. I know our viewers are really eager to understand what our research uncovered in terms of the impact of COVID and the pandemic on the length of the buyer journey. Can you unpack that for us?
Yes, so we've actually seen the average house and land buyer journey halve over the past year. Those who bought a new build recently took 11 months to go through the process versus the 20 months we saw back in 2019, 2020. And we're actually seeing this drop across all buyer segments. So first home buyers, subsequent buyers and investors. So this halving is actually across the board. We've actually touched on new apartment buyers in the last vlog, and unlike new apartment buyers where we saw that they spent less time in the early stages of the journey, we're seeing that house and land buyers spent less time in all stages of the journey, which is suggesting to us that they were really certain about wanting to buy during this period. Actually, when we first saw this halving in journey length, we were surprised. You and I think, had a good chat about it. But once we actually started investigating everything that was going on, it started to make more sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So in our new apartment vlog episode, we touched on, obviously the journey is also shortening for those buyers. But for house and land buyers, it is the entire journey and every stage that has gained velocity. What is driving that?
So we really feel that there's a few things in play that could be contributing to this significantly shorter journey. It's market conditions, buyer readiness, and general fear of missing out, so FOMO. And I'll just touch on them all briefly now. So the first one, market conditions. Interest rates are lower than ever, and there are lots of government stimulus in play. We've got the home builder grant, the first home owner grant, the first home loan deposit scheme, just to name a few of them. And this is likely to have prompted many buyers to go from thinking about buying to actually starting the process, perhaps more quickly than they would have done in the past. Some stimulus as well, like home builder, had time limits too, forcing an even quicker decision for some buyers. The second one is buyers being ready to transact. So we know that areas of the market have been stop-start due to lockdown, which we really feel is causing frustration and building readiness, particularly for buyers who have been trying to buy for quite a long time. And we see this in other research as well. We're also seeing that buyers have more disposable income due to reduced spend in other areas. So in the past 18 months, we've seen that house and land budget grow from 614,000 to around 700,000, which is quite a big increase. So buyers were ready and raring to go.
I love that. They're ready and raring to go, and they've got more money to spend.
They do, yeah, they're cashed up. Finally, so FOMO, fear of missing out. We did some extra analysis on this, and we compared the number of listings and inquiries from when we last conducted the research to now, and we're actually seeing less properties for sale and more buyers wanting to buy. And let's be honest, there's nothing like wanting something that everybody else wants to spur you on to make a quicker decision. And the final point here, and I didn't touch on it right in the start, but we do this piece of research. We speak to people who have been through the buying journey, the house and land buying journey, and those who are currently going through the process. So I've just touched on those who have been through the journey and purchased a house and land package in the last 12 months. But when we have a look at house and land buyers who are currently going through the process, we're seeing the journey sit at around 22 months on average, which is actually suggesting that it could be returning to what we saw pre-pandemic, which was also 22 months. I mean, the lockdowns in Sydney and Melbourne may be playing a part in this, but we don't actually know for sure. So it would be really, really interesting to see how this plays out over the next year or so.
It is absolutely going to be interesting to watch. I'm really eager to understand, though, obviously, from looking at the research for our land developers and our builder customers, if there is still that sense of urgency amongst buyers, what is it that they need to keep in mind as their sales teams engage with these buyers?
So if the journey does remain shorter, it's going to be really important for developers or builders to respond to buyers who inquire in a timely manner and get information to them as quick as possible in a format that suits them. We know from this research and other research that many buyers are considering multiple property types and multiple developments, particularly at the start of their journey. So if they're reaching out to developers or builders with an inquiry or asking for information and they don't get that information in a timely manner, in a format that they want it in, they're likely to go elsewhere.
It's a really nice plug for an upcoming episode of our series where we're going to dive into communication needs and preferences. So our viewers should stay tuned for that one. I want to move on now, Kirstin. Obviously, emotion plays a huge role in purchasing property. How are buyers feeling as they go through the journey at the moment, and what came out of our research?
So we know from the research last year where we did a really big deep dive into emotions that they are high throughout the buying journey. A lot of us have been through the journey. We know that this is the case. Buying property is seen as essentially positive, but there's lots of negativity driven by lack of uncertainty, lack of confidence, and process complexity. If you throw in 18 months of COVID and a hot market, buyers have even more concerns, and I really don't think that's surprising. And the research found that many are concerned about the potential impact of overinflated property prices, more competition for properties, which we've just touched on, and delays to build timelines, all of which can add further stress to the decision-making process. And I think it's really important here that developers or builders provide clear, proactive communication around these areas and other areas to help tackle buyer concerns up front, helping them understand the landscape and assess their options.
It's really good insight and really good advice. Kirstin, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I know we've covered a lot. What are the 3 key takeaways you think our builders and land developers would benefit from remembering from the insights today?
So it's always great to do a recap. I think we've had a really good conversation today, but we've covered a lot. So the first one would be that motivations for buying house and land remain the same on year, but we are seeing differences in motivations by buyer type, particularly those first home buyers. So it's really important for developers and builders to segment their customers so they know who they're talking to and can adapt their communications and conversations around this. The second one would be the length of the buying journey. We saw it shorten significantly due to COVID. And although there are early signs that it might be returning to that 22-month pre-pandemic level, customers need to ensure that they respond to buyer inquiries promptly and provide the right information at the right time to help them make quick decisions if they need to. And then finally, it will be that the buying journey is an emotional one, and we're seeing that buyers have even more concerns this year. Customers should encourage their sales team to acknowledge this and support and guide buyers through the journey.
A really good recap. Thank you so much, Kirstin. If anyone would like more information about the buying journey for our house and land buyers, you can download a PDF from our Development Hub under the 2021 Developer Insights series. Thank you again, Kirstin. In terms of what's next, we're going to be joined by James Algar from Mortgage Choice, who's going to be talking to us about financing property and what buyers are thinking about when it comes to finance. So thanks so much again, Kirstin, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.